then very expensive.
Okay, the thing over there, you're done. Shall we? Let's go.
Okay, guys, welcome back. So what we do, we do the presentation one by one from each group. So the other group is going to present three cases, is it? Is it three? Two. Two out of three. That is on IT, yeah? Okay. What are you going to present?
Okay, maybe we can just get started with this group here. Can anyone take it?
Okay, this is group 6, yeah? Case study on business, information and technology. It's good that I think you come to the front so that you can share with the whole group.
No worries. Okay, good.
The topic is strategic
One is the IT strategy. The IT strategy has four other dimensions. One is information technology. Second is information management system. Third is technology management system, and fourth is the knowledge management system. And the second variable is IT capability development, managerial approach to IT capability development. And the third main variable is organization performance, or here is the financial performance. Financial performance of organization in industry sector. Manufacturing industry. So how the literature tells us that by reviewing the literature, there is evidence, there is already studies which link up IT strategy with the financial performance of the organization. But literature tells us that there is a gap how managerial approach to IT capability development has an impact on this relationship. How IT strategy impacts on organizational financial performance in this sector, and how what is the role of managerial approach to IT capability development. So the problem statement here is we articulated the sentence, the last sentence of the problem statement, that thus there is a substantial potential for studying how and why IT strategy and managerial approach to IT capability development impact on firms' corporate financial returns in manufacturing industry, manufacturing sector.
So your last sentence repeat again.
Thus, there is a substantial potential for studying how and why IT strategy and managerial approach to IT capability development impact on firms' financial performance in manufacturing industry.
Okay. Now the group, would you like to add anything to what you have just mentioned, or you're okay with that? Okay,
Any
then.
questions? Any suggestions?
They look like they're happy, yeah? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now I'm just looking at, this is the case, right? Yeah. This is the case, right? So what you have read through, okay, now in this case, in the case study, so you have started your work with
IT strategy.
your last sentence.
Thus,
That's the substantial potential. Huh? So you can also start this way. The motivation for this study is increased. See that? See that? You can also put it. Of course, I'm not saying you're wrong, but you can also go this way. Okay, so the motivation for this study is to increase understanding of managers about the role of PMS, IMS, and KMS that plays on the financial performance. Okay, of the firm, and how these roles are related. Okay, because managers are often unsure about how the mechanism of knowledge, information, knowledge, and IT, as well as relationship among them, okay, and impact long-term organizational profitability. So you can put it that way. Okay. So there are a couple of ways. Well, you have written a sentence. We can also look at this by using words. So the motivation for this study and so on. Okay. All right. Good. Now let's move on to the next group. Let's move on to the next group. Yep.
Who will take over?
The next one. Yeah. And then case. What case that?
Case number 4. Case number 4, the topic is green supply chain management, practices and tools for developing competition and sustainability. Yeah? Okay. This topic is talking about the globalization and how the organization is going to face the demand, emerging demand in the globalization. So this is a logistics environment. So they have designed kind of a system supply chain management, which they're going to focus on competitive and environment friendly or eco-friendly. Okay. So we will further develop environment friendly. They're talking about greens. Okay. So that means they are going to bring in how to go to tackle the environmental issue. So they are looking at the making green technology. So what the last statement is, the primary purpose of this study is to explore emerging green technologies tools which can improve cost reduction and sustainability of the organization.
Okay. So the primary purpose of this study, okay, that's also okay. And look at example here. We can also put it this way. Let me just this paper aims to offer. You see the choice of word that you can use. Huh? Are you able to read? Okay. So you have a choice of word. Just now you saw the motivation of the study. Now you see this paper aims to offer a new perspective.
This is the aim.
No, this is not the objective. That is different. Huh? That is different. That is the main objective of the study, the main purpose. So here I'm still talking about the problem statement. Huh? Problem statement. You read through the sentence, the paragraph. This paper aims to offer a new perspective. You're looking at a new perspective of green technologies and innovation influence on supply chain management in order to achieve better understanding of strategies and policies designed to deal with the emerging challenges in terms of to assess the influence. Again, you can see the second sentence, to assess the influence. So here, the problem is the opportunity here we're looking at is to assess, to measure, okay? To measure the influence of green technologies in supply chain. The study also tries to compare the result of literature review, okay? Also looking at literature review versus the actual, and those emerging. This is a case study, so it is a DHL case study. Okay. So you can also put it this way. Okay, you need not necessarily you go back to the wording. You have a lot of choice of words. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to offer you the choice of words of how you can actually pitch the problem statement. How you put the problem statement. It should be, for the readers, it should be like something palatable, something nice. Okay? Right, thank you. Now let's look at the other team, the IT. Oliver, can I know the case number?
Case number 2.
Okay, you go ahead, Oliver.
Okay, so the case number 2 is about development in communication, information, and technology in retail marketing channel. That means that in this case, we're talking about what are the customer habits and behavior in terms of purchasing through retail, and what are the solutions for retail channels or retail corporation, retail industry, in order to suit the customer. So in fact, we seeing that the assumption today in this case study are that the customer is purchasing through multi-channel. Multi-channel means that he's going to purchase through mobile phone, through internet, through his PDA because it's all the tool. And they say through the assumption that they're asking here why to develop multi-channel strategy, because it's an assumption that we have to go through multi-channel, but how to develop multi-channel strategy. So our thinking here is, since it's a little bit old, we go for the historical research. That means we say that 16 years later, we are looking into the evolution of the technology, how it has evolved through the customer purchase behavior, and what might be the next technology evolution to take into account in the multi-channel strategy.
Okay, that's good. So you're looking at two. One is the primary, and then you have the sub problem.
That's right. History and future.
Okay. So you can also put it the way you can have a primary problem that you are trying to investigate, and you can have the sub of it. Okay. Therefore, here the example here is the challenge for retail is shifting from answering why to develop multi-channel strategies to how and when to develop the multi-channel strategy. Okay? So the goal is to seamlessly integrate your offline and online operation. How you get the offline and online operation seamlessly to it, allowing consumers to purchase product in the way that suits them the best. And this paper is going to investigate both the offline and the online and make a comparison of which will suit the customer best based on the product specific. Okay? So that's how the problem statement should be. Yeah.
Sorry, like the previous ones, the ones you gave us here, most of them, the sentences are like concise. So what is the disadvantage where you have very long sentence?
Okay, now, good question. As I said earlier, sometimes when Oliver, please take a seat. Thank you. Thank you. Otherwise, you know, you send it. Thank you. The tendency for students when we say problem statement writing, they think that you need to write 5 to 10 pages, of lengthy discussion. Now the problem here is when you tend to write more pages on problem statement, you tend to deviate from what actually you want to investigate. You will be discussing too many things there. Okay, and for the leaders or your supervisors or your examiners, they will be like, confused. What actually this guy is trying to investigate? And when they relate it back to the 5 to 10 pages, and then they relate it back to your hypothesis and research question, they are not in sync. That is the risk. So it's always good to, write 2 sentences, 2 paragraphs, and then finally conclude it. That's it. Done. I know you want to write a lot about this. That's what you call as background to the study. That's called background to the study. Before you could come to the problem statement, you may want to write 15 pages. Okay, go ahead. You may want to write about the trend of that. That's okay, go ahead. You want to write about the latest technology, latest application, go ahead. All those are background to the study. When it comes to problem statement, just finish it up. If possible, just within 1 page. Done. You are precise, you know what you're doing, you know what you're going to investigate, and you know what's supposed to be the outcome. Very clear. And when people question you, your supervisor or your examiner, you know how to answer. This is what you will do. The rest, the bulk of it, put it under background. Okay? And also try to have some citations in it from statement. Because you are not an authority, you cannot simply claim things. So you need to have some citation to support your things. Yeah.
When we look over the context, we need to identify the gap, and when we are going to test this hypothesis to a particular context, so do we need to mention the context in problem statement?
No. Not necessary. Not necessary to bring in. That all comes under the scope of study, all those things. So you need not bring it here. You can later, I'll talk to you later about it. In the notes you have that scope of study. Okay. The scope of study, limitation of study, delimitation of study is all like putting fence around you and blocking yourself and say, hey guys, you want to shoot me, I'm inside the fort. You cannot get me. You want to protect yourself. So that's why you put scope of study. And if the examiner questions you, why did you study about this? I'm sorry, sir. Please refer to page 19. My scope of study is only this. The examiner will receive this report. If he asks you, why didn't you investigate, the food and beverage industry? That has got dynamic changes, blah, 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 and so on. I'm sorry, sir. If you read my submission, page number 25, I put there my delimitations. Delimitation means things which are out of scope. So this is what I call as putting shield, a shield to block yourself so that people don't shoot you. Some examiner looks for ways and means to shoot you down. Yeah? Because a lot of experts are coming in the same area, right? They also worry. So you must know how to protect yourself. So scope of study helps you. Delimitations of study helps you. Limitation of study helps you. Okay, I'll talk to you later about it. And sometimes I find some thesis missing. The word delimitation is missing. I don't know how they finish. You're lucky, if you can clear your Viva without much question on delimitation. You're lucky. So, but if you have that, you protect yourself. I'm not telling you to do, things which are not ethical, but I'm just telling you these are the right things you need to do to protect yourself. Okay. Now let's hear from the next group.
Okay, from I'm represent the group to discuss on case 7, and it's basically on the business model innovation. Okay, the case illustrates there have been initiative on both business model innovation as well as product innovation, but somehow it seems that most of the companies can move on the product development initiative, but not the business model. There has been obstacle and problem in moving the or implementing business model innovation initiative. And so the group came out with the funding, basically starting with the sentence, thus the problem statement, the purpose of the study. Thus, there is a need to explore and recommend an effective approach to enhance the development of the business model innovation and initiative, such as also to introduce servitization model. Now, this servitization model is already about our friend at the back, Robin. I'm also new to it. Yeah, over here, I'm not too quite too sure. I think we can discuss about it. Servitization model as a business model innovation. Okay.
So if you're introducing this kind of words, be careful. Then you're actually trying to say there's an opportunity to explore the area. So then the way you pitch, the way you put your problem statement, you must put it as an opportunity all the while. The way you describe it, you must describe it in such a way that it's an opportunity. Don't put it as a problem and showing there's a gap, and finally you are putting this word inside. Then it will be like prematurely giving a solution to the problem. You understand what I'm saying? If you put the initial 2 paragraphs as to be like a problem statement, and then you finish out the last sentence with this word, then it's like you're already giving a solution to the problem. You shouldn't do that. If you want to highlight it as an opportunity, you want to include this word, then you should put the first 2 paragraphs also, the style of writing should also emphasize like an opportunity. Okay? So in problem statement, it cannot be a mixture of gap and opportunity. It's either a gap or an opportunity or a phenomenon. Okay? It's good to introduce such new words. That's okay. Right? Yeah.
Case 1.
All right.
This is on cloud computing. Education professionals and educational technology experts perspective. The case study here is Australian educational system. The introduction of computer science courses. When it was established, introduced into the universities and college of advanced education. So our statement problem here is to investigate the consequences and effects of e-learning in the educational system.
Okay. All right. Let me question you all. When you start a sentence with the word to, be careful. When you start a sentence with the word to, indirectly it refers to objective of this type. Be careful. So there are certain, as I said in the morning, right? I said there are certain things systematically designed in research. Although the English meaning may say something else, but when it comes to research and so on, when you start a sentence with the word to, it means object. Okay? So you may want to modify the word. You may want to modify the word and change it accordingly. Don't use the word to. Okay? Because later on, after your problem statement and so on, you are going to look into the research objective and research questions. Okay, I don't want you to get stuck to that over there. Okay? Now let's continue with our sharing. Okay? So writing the problem statement, yeah, gone through the exercise, yeah. Yeah, from
from my experience, always 90% of candidates will have to rewrite the problem after the last 90%. And the reason is because the expectation of the examiners are very high on problem segment. Problem segment is seen as the heart of the thesis. That means when the examiner reads the problem segment, you know already what you want to do in the whole thesis. And so they are looking at 5 things, at least, in the problem segment. Number 1, you have to build the scenario and the phenomena. That's number 1. So you build the scenario, you put here and there. That's number 1. Number 2, they want to see your real interest in it by expressing your curiosity. What really is your curiosity? Like from French now say that
the novelty, the interest.
Because all research must begin with curiosity and end with discovery. So you must express your curiosity. And curiosity means why, how, what. So 1 or 2 sentences is enough to just express your curiosity. Then the third thing is they want to know how important is this problem, this curiosity that you have. It must be important enough. Otherwise, you don't have to do this. Okay, so to express the importance of it, 2 things. Number 1 is what practical implication we can get if you discover something from this. Number 2, what new knowledge contribution that you can make from it when you discover it. So these 2 things. One is the practical, one is the other one is the theoretical. So that's number 2. Number 3. Then number 4 is you must outline in 1 or 2 sentences how do you propose to conduct this research. You may say that this will be a quantitative approach and main target respondents are so the questionnaire will be adapted from somewhere. And so you have a broad idea of what to do or how to do research. And then finally, which is the most important, is what is the anticipated discovery of the research. And this is where you need to speculate optimistically what you can discover from this research. So if you have all these 5, the examiner thinks that you know what you're doing. Otherwise, then they say that you are broken until the end. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're right, absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Professor. He used to indicate that. And based on his experience, saying 90% of the time, in the Viva session, students have to redo their problem statement. 90%. So yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. It's just because, students write what they think is, is interesting for them and so on. So if you follow the step-by-step process, you will not get it wrong. Definitely, you'll get it right. Okay? And you don't need to be so lengthy. You don't need to go and write, 5 pages, 10 pages, and make it lengthy just because to, impress the examiner and so on. So be specific and get your points right, what you're trying to say. And like what Prof said, there are significance. I'll get to you later on there. There must be a significance of the study. Okay? So he's speaking from his experience. Thanks, Prof. Anyway. Thanks for the sharing. So to summarize, what we have studied on the problem statement is basically why any research project, why you want to do research, and make sure that there is a focus on the problem statement that you're looking at. You cannot be like diluting too many things into one area and say it's a problem. And also, whatever you're going to say, there will be available resource to support you. Okay? And usually in the question format and preferably direct what you anticipate out of it. And the type of research in the problem statement, you can put things like what is, what type of survey research is designed, and that's what you said. I think the third one you said, right? So what type of survey design you can put into this type. So all those things again you must be capturing it in the problem statement. You need not be very detailed, at least at a very high level. Very high level. Okay? And very easy, you don't need to discover something new methodology. You just follow what people have said in the past and you just capture that and you are in the same way. Okay? So, some of the example is what is the prevailing organization? What is the status? Okay, what is the status of servitization? Maybe it's a new jargon or what. So did that. Servitization. Okay. Alright. And what is the level of ethical awareness to things like that? And writing the problem statement, the relationship type of study that you're doing, and for those type of study, you can use the relationship between the two or more variables, which you already roughly predicted. You already predicted this is what going to be the variable, so then you can start with that relationship type of writing the problem statement. For example, does commitment can do something or depending on education professional training? Does. Okay? And these two are just brief for pleasure reading. I just worry if I take you through that if I need to do them. But I just put it down there. Okay? How the journalism is in Malaysia. Okay? Right. Now, differences. You can also look at problem statement writing by differences. Like for example, you ask questions. Ask what is the difference between the two group of approach. You're looking at group A and group B. This is where you do the t-test. In your research methodology, where you have two sets of groups, you do the t-test to measure the differences in the groups. Okay? Like for example, is there a significant difference between the local and international graduates, local students and international students in the academic performance, maybe, or in the choice of career, or in the choice of program they are embarking on? Okay? Is there a difference between the work values? Okay, again, journalists in the public and those graduated from the public university and the private university. So there are generally two ways of putting the research statement. As I said just now, you can just stop at one main research problem statement, and like Oliver, you took the main one is this, and then you have the sub problem. Okay, so one is declarative, the main problem only. The second one is you can state the main problem, and then you can go on with the sub problem. Okay, like in your case, you said you have only one. Then later you're also trying to explore about this, to what extent it has been applied and so on. So then you have the sub. So the sub problem simply break down the main problem into smaller units. Okay, but make sure you don't have too many sub. That is very difficult for you. Sometimes your hands are also tight. I mean, you cannot have too many. You come up with a questionnaire. Can you imagine someone coming up with a questionnaire and then 100 questions? Who's going to respond to you? People say, thank you very much, I have no time. Or they just close their eyes and then they just think wherever possible. Validity is out. Right? No reliability. Okay? So you must be careful not to have too many subs. Okay? And data must be apparently within the sub. You should be able to get some.
So if we do a problem statement question form, how do you differentiate about research questions from the problem?
I'll come to it. I've got another page talking about research questions. I'll come to it. Okay? So here we're only talking about a problem statement. Okay? But research questions are different. After establishing the research objectives, then come to research. These are different. This is the problem statement. Okay? So, interpretation of data by the parent. Okay, now let's go on. Now let's go to the. You have this. Of course, you can read my notes. You look at the notes. Are you able to read? Read the situation number 1. In the PowerPoint, read the situation number 1. Read situation number 1. The 22 years old neighborhood swimming association seeks research help. Now, how you start to write? How you come up with a problem statement? So I'm just putting 3 situations here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's look at the situation number 1. The 22-year-old neighborhood swimming association seeks research help. This swimming association is already 22 years old of establishment. Okay, and now this guy wants to conduct a research and they need some help. Why they want to conduct research? Because they're going through tough time. So, what are their symptoms? What are the symptoms? Now look at it, read the symptoms. The first one is declining membership for the last 6 years. Membership for the swimming association is declining for the last 6 years. This is a symptom. This is not a problem. The second symptom, increased attendance at the new water park, Sunway Lagoon. Increase. More people are going there rather than the swimming association, swimming pool. Again, it is a symptom. The third one, less frequent usage among the members. Among the members themselves in the swimming pool association members, they themselves not coming to the pool. Can you imagine 20 years ago, maybe I was young, so I go for swimming every week. But now I'm getting old, so I don't have the energy and I don't have the time, I'm not going. So again, it is the symptom. Now, students get confused between the problem statement and most of the time, the students like to write symptoms rather than solving problems. You're having fever. Is fever the problem or a symptom? Fever is a symptom. The problem could be yesterday night you got wet in the rain. That is a problem. But you having fever today is a symptom. So students have got a tendency to write a lot about symptoms rather than zooming to the. what is the problem? The problem is swimming facilities is outdated in the association. The swimming facilities are outdated. They still have a swimming pool which is 15 feet. Nowadays, swimming pool, you cannot have more than 5 feet or 4 feet, I don't know. Yeah, because if you have more than 5 feet, then you need to have a lifeguard. Right? So, and somehow nowadays swimming pool, you need to have another baby pool again beside, right? Those days swimming pool, there's no baby pool. So, the real problem is the facilities are outdated. That's the problem. So, younger families and children have negative image of the pool. Younger families, meaning to say parents of 30 years old and so on, they have negative image of the pool. That is the real problem. See that? So you should be able to differentiate between the symptoms and the problem. Many a times students talks about 2-3 pages. All they talk is about symptoms. Oh, the online, people are not taking the online banking. They are not using online banking, blah blah blah. But those are the symptoms. What's the real problem? And the real problem is don't trust. I don't trust. Yeah. So you should be able to differentiate between symptoms and problem. Now look at the situation number 2. Read the second situation. Okay, the firm situation is manufacturers of palm-sized computers with wireless internet access believe the business-to-business sales are too low. This is the problem, and now they want a research to be conducted. Now, what is the symptoms? What are the symptoms here? Symptom number 1 is distributors complain prices are too high. Distributors are intermediaries, right? They complain your prices are too high. Cannot. The market doesn't want to buy a product because your price is high. But why Apple can sell? As compared to others, price are higher one. Why Apple can sell? Okay? Again, it is symptom. Right? So the second symptom is business users still use large computers. Business users, not individual users. Business users like office and all, we still want to have PC. Now, what is the real problem? The real problem is business users do not see advantages of smaller screens. That is the problem. If the business user, the B2B guy, they really see the advantages of using the smaller gadgets, they will love, they will buy. Even though it's costly, they will buy. But here they do not see the that is the real problem. It's not that the price is too high as claimed by the distributors. The distributors are saying the price is high, not the consumers or not the business-to-business guys are saying the price is high. See that? So this is what I say. You need to be able to differentiate between the symptoms and the otherwise, you'll be only talking about symptoms all the while and you have not highlighted any problem. Okay? Right? Now, so we are done with problem statement. Now we are moving on to the next area, research objective and research. Right, come back to you. Okay. Now read the problem statement here before we're reading the objective. Read the problem statement. problem statement is about airline industry. What are you talking about? Frequent and long delays. Frequent is one, another one is long. May translate into much frustration among airline passengers. To switching behaviors, moving from Malindo to Air Asia to what do you call it? Firefly, and so on. You switch from one airline to another. Domestic travel, then you switch. Okay? And negative word of mouth. You meet a friend, say, why tomorrow Malindo is from Malindo, always delay. Go by Air Asia. Oh no, Air Asia not good. Go by Firefly. So word of mouth, negative. These feelings and behavior eventually have negative effect on the performance and profitability of the airline. Now, this behavior impacts negatively on the company. So that is the problem statement. So you are trying to explore, okay, why and so on, right? So you need to write the research objective. After writing the problem statement in your chapter 1, you need to write the research objective. As I said this morning, some varsities, they say you don't need to have research objective, you just have research question. Okay, but let's take it in the right proper format. Have research objective, have research. You play safe. You show it is to any international university, they'll say, okay, good, fair enough, acceptable level. Right? So, based on the problem statement, you need to write the research objectives. The clue is when you're writing research objective, you always start with the word to. Can you imagine reading a thesis and research objectives not starting with the word to? It is frustrating. What is the impression your examiners will have on you if you write an objective without the word to? Totally unacceptable. Okay? Definitely it's very, very good. Okay? So the clue is start with the word to. So here, to identify the factors. So there are a lot of choice of words that you can use. To identify, to investigate, to gauge, to measure, to confirm. You know, you use this kind of words. Verbs followed by to and followed by a verb. Okay? So in this case, you identify the factors that influence passengers' waiting experience. The second objective is to investigate the possible impact. Okay? Of course, for a PhD, 2 is not enough. 2 is not enough. Okay? For a master's, 3 is fine. For a PhD, at least you need to have minimum 5. Okay? At least go for 5 objectives. Okay? But there are some students write 13 objectives. I write 13 objectives. My dear friend, you can choose to write even 20 objectives. But make sure all objectives are answered in your chapter 5. So can you imagine if you choose 10 objectives, you make sure all the 10 you answer. So it is tough, huh? So just go, because here you just want to make sure that your PhD thesis goes fine without any technical error. So just go with 5 and play safe. Okay?
When we will learning about writing problem statements, particularly the duty part of the problem statement. At that time, we were also using because that main purpose of this study is to identify, investigate, restore. And same what we are using here.
It's just that the first one, you take through a scenario before you come to the last sentence. But here, you straightly go to the objective. Now, the other clue is, if you are writing 5 objectives, you must have 5 research questions. And every research question must correspond back to the objective. Your research question number 2 must correspond back to your research objective number 2. It's very simple. Take the word to out and replace with the word what, as, is, does, how. That's it. So is it difficult to write research objective and question? Not at all. Not at all. But still students make mistakes. The rule is 5 objective, 5 questions. Second rule is to write objective, start with the word. The third rule is here you have do, there you have what, if, how, is, does, and end with the so writing research objective and question should not be a problem. Now look at this example. This is a perfect example of how to write objective. When you're writing a research objective, you must always have the main objective first. The main objective first. You can exactly follow the same format. No problem for a student. You just follow this format. The main objective of this study, blah blah blah, is to follow this. You'll never get it wrong. The main objective of this research is to identify the factors influencing the intention to use internet banking. That is the main, the first one. Thus, it hopes to achieve the following. So, the moment you get your problem statement, within a day you should finish your research objective and question. That's it, done. Email to your supervisor and say, I'm done with my problem statement, my research objective, and research question. Straightforward. Because there's nothing, to further enhance or make it look better and so on. No. Research objective and questions are straightforward. You don't need even to have any literature to that. No citation is needed. Just straightforward sentence, that's it. Okay? So, it's a very good example here. To find out, to study, to investigate, to establish, to determine, to measure, to gauge, all those words. Okay? Choice of words. Some students, after giving this, also they do the same mistake. To investigate, to investigate, to investigate. Come on. Would you like to read a text like that? You don't like, right? So don't make your supervisor's life miserable. At least when he reads your work, he should be happy reading it. Oh, good night. Huh? The first one is said to measure. The second one is said to investigate. The third one is said to model. Nice, beautiful. For MBA student, master student, I would recommend the 3 objectives. The first one objective should be to measure, to gauge. The second one is to identify the factors. And the third one is to model. That's it for masters. Done. Deal. First, to gauge the level or to measure. Second is to identify the factors. Third, to model. Finish. For a master's, done deal. But for a PhD, you have to go a little bit further, more than that. Okay? You go more than that. Not just what you call measure, identify, and model, but you have to go further, more than that. Okay? This is where you say, you study, you investigate, you establish. For PhD, you need to do this. Okay?
Especially when we have, for example, 5 objectives, we have 5 questions. But such questions, they can be further split. Then it is better to split some research questions in PhD, or is it preferable to further split the objectives to the lower level?
So, don't split the objectives further. Because you have 2. One is the main objective, the other one is specific objective. Just stick to that. Don't go and further split. Then you will have difficulties in your hypothesis, right? Don't split.
I'm talking about the hypothesis. Because
Yes.
when we develop hypothesis we have to give research questions. Questions related to your objective. And when our hypotheses are of the lower level, and in one question we have 2 relationships, then we will be having 2 hypotheses. So but those 2 hypotheses which we have in the
One question.
one question and one.
Okay, I know where you're trying to come from. Okay. Assuming your hypothesis, you have variables of independent variable, dependent variable, and in between you have moderating and intervening variable. Your research question should only be one. For the hypothesis can be two. Okay? Alright? So your research question is one, but the hypothesis can be two. Your first hypothesis will be independent to dependent. Second one, independent to intervening to dependent. So you can have two based on one question. Okay? So well-defined research question. So this is how you start with the words to what extent, has, how, is, does, what, and so on. This is how you write your research question. Okay? Now, fall back to the case that you have discussed just now. The case that you discussed just now. Just write two objective and two questions. Remember, for the objectives, I would like to see the main objective of the study first, then followed by the specific objective, and then followed by two questions. So, two specific objective and two research questions. One main objective. Okay? You don't need to discuss in the group, you can do it by yourself here. Okay, you're done? Yep. Anyone would like to share? Let's look at case 6. Case 6. Who did the sharing just now of the case 6? Case number 6. Okay. Go with your main objectives.
Main objective of this study is to investigate the impact of IT strategy on financial performance of the firm.
Okay.
However, this study also aims to determine, to explore the impact of knowledge management system on firm's financial performance. Second is to investigate the impact of technology management system on firm's financial performance.
Okay. Now, be careful of the word you use, however. Okay, now, however means like in contradiction to what you said earlier. That is the best word. Okay. And when you put it, it should be bullet, 2 bullet. So, okay. ABC or 1, 2 or bullet forms, that's fine. Okay. Normally they put 1 O, 2 O, and so. Okay. Okay. Well, you can put it this way. For your case, the specific objective number 1 could be things like to investigate how strategy based on information management, technology management, and knowledge management influence organizational performance. Okay. To conduct empirical evidence of these influence in manufacturing environment, because it was a PhD work, right? It's an empirical evidence using the structural equation model framework. And last, to examine the possible direct and indirect effect of KMS on organizational performance. Okay. So this could be your specific objectives. Now, let's look at this. If I want to change the objective number 1 to a research question number 1, how should I word it? Yeah, can anyone please raise your hand and then, yeah, speak up. The objective 1 is to investigate how strategies. So, if I'm going to put a research question for this, how will the research question sound?
Just remove to investigate.
I just have to take these 2 words out. That's it. My research objective, research question is done. The second one. Question for second one. How? Cannot be how. We should start with is there. Because you're going to collect data, you're not too sure what you're going to get outcome, right? Is there evidence, yes or no? Need not necessarily every time you collect data is positive towards what you like. So that's why you put the word is. The third one, to examine. What are the possible? What are the possible? So this is a good exercise. Now you know how to structure your research question and research objective and research question. Now let's look at another example. This is case 5. Who would like to take case 5? Case 5? Okay, go ahead. Yep. Go ahead, sister. Go ahead. I think speak loud enough. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, my research objective. The main objective of this study is to investigate the role of humanitarian logistics during disaster relief operation (DRO). It also aims to identify how humanitarian organizations and logistics service providers can collaborate to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the operation. And number 3 will be to study the challenges in humanitarian supply chain during disaster relief operation. And the research questions will be: Number one is, what is the role of humanitarian logistics in disaster relief operation? Number two, how HO and logistics service providers can contribute to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of this operation? And number three, what are the challenges in humanitarian logistics during disaster relief operation?
Good. For the start, it's good, I would say. But at the PhD level, we need to look into slightly detailed format of writing and format of exploration. So the choice of word that you use, okay, that's important. Okay, so look at the choice of word used here. Humanitarian organization, the other one is the logistics service provider, right? There are two entities here. So the first one will be to explore motivations for collaboration. Why do logistics service providers like DHL, FedEx and all work with humanitarian organization which is not for profit? It's charity organization, right? So what is the motivation for these guys? Don't you want to explore that? Don't you want to investigate that? Each time disaster happens, right? Are these guys really coming in to help us? FedEx, DHL, what do you call Danzers? No more Danzers, right? All the other companies, Transnational, Transocean. What is the motivation for them? They are profit driven. Whereas humanitarian organization not profit driven. So your study, you may want to explore what is the motivation for these guys to come and engage themselves at the PhD level. This is important. Once you have the answer, that's it. You can put it into practice. Yeah. So you want to explore the motivation. The second one is to identify barriers which affect the formation of relationship between these two guys. What is the barriers? What are the barriers? What blocks them? Maybe there isn't much publicity. Somebody else claims the publicity. I don't know. Maybe there isn't much incentive. Intangible incentive. Yeah. So you may want to understand what are the barriers. Right. The third one, of course, as a PhD work, you may want to make some. See that? So when it comes to PhD, we want to go a little bit, detailed. The way we write our objectives, not very, like I said, for the master it's okay, we just hit it straight, the three objectives you are done. To measure the level, to identify the factors, to propose a model, done, deal. But PhD cannot do it. Because too little bit. So, you really want to explore and understand what is the motivating factor, what are the barriers, and everybody knows whenever disaster happens, we need support, especially from the logistics provider. Why? Because they got a truck, right? They got a truck, right? The 40-footer and 20-footer, right? So you want to help. But what? Why should they help you? There's always a question, right? So, I think these are the two examples of the case. Well, the rest of the case I leave it to you for your own exploration. Okay, you can do it on your own exploration. Okay, now let's move on. Okay, let's take a tea break. Coffee break first. Okay, let's go for a coffee break. 15 minutes coffee break. Yeah. Okay, looks like not many are interested in coffee break. second level of training. A lot of gain there. Otherwise, you should be like, what do you want to get and go with this? I don't want to do that. Oh, 7
Object
Whether it's continuous, interval, ratio, then it becomes a yes, before it becomes very difficult. And that's why you want to test it out, you have to come up with a use of it's not necessarily you. Conceptual framework is not any empirical basis. There's no empirical evidence. Together to try to learning is not theoretical framework is a framework which you design conceptual framework. From you associate the theory. We have a theory behind this quality, then it becomes yours. So in each you have a theoretical method, not a conceptual. But they tested it in the US. Now you're testing it in Malaysia. And you have one new variable or a new concept.
Yeah. Need a favor?
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so we got here.
And sometimes you will not take to the TV. Yeah, ways and sometimes.
Okay, guys, let's get going. A few more areas to go. Okay. Hey, bro. Now let's look at the definition of teacher. In research, you also need to provide definition of teacher. You may be asking, why do I need to give definition of some term? Why do I need to write? The reason is because certain concepts you are writing may have a different meaning. You may have something else at the back of your mind when you're putting the concept. So as a researcher, you need to tell what is actually at the back of your mind when you put this concept. Like for example, when you talk about leadership, what is at the back of your mind? Forget about the dictionary. Forget about the wikis and all these things. No. Your real meaning of it, what do you think? Motivation for her, maybe motivation means, getting to work office at 8 o'clock means motivation. And maybe for him, motivation doesn't mean that you have to be there at 8 o'clock, but getting the job completely done by end of the day. That may be motivation. So you need to have your own definition. Now, your own definition is what we call as operational definition. That is called operational definition. Now, for operational definition, do not say according to the Oxford Dictionary, blah blah blah. Then you're wrong. That is conceptual definition. According to the dictionary, according to the encyclopedia, according to the wiki, or whatever it is, that's called conceptual. Somebody only defined for you. Now, what is your definition of the word that you're using? You say strategy. What is strategy? And in your case, civilization. What is your conceptual? The conceptual definition be given by dictionary. But what is your own definition? Operational definition. Operational here refers to your instrument that you're using. Your instrument means your questionnaire. In your questionnaire, how are you going to translate this word? That's what you call as operational definition. So you need to have two set of definition. One is the conceptual definition, the other one is the operational. Please, for that operational definition, never ever quote dictionary and so on. Then you are wrong. Okay? So, definition of key terms before you end the chapter, chapter 1, you need to put the key terms. Now, how many key terms do I need to use? Or how many do I need to choose? The answer is, the main one is your dependent variable. Your dependent variable, you need to explain what is your operational definition of the dependent variable. Next is your independent. You don't go through that. Independent variable, this definition. Independent variable 2. No, not the way. Straight away you put the concept and then you explain. Okay? Straight you put the concept. Yes. Okay? So you will have two. One is conceptual, another one is operational. You write the conceptual definition and then below that you follow by your operational definition. Okay? The next one in chapter 1, you also have to capture is limitation of study. Some of you may say, saying that, hey, limitation, we write it in chapter 5, Why do I need to write in chapter 1? I write it in chapter 5. So why do you want me to write in chapter 1? You write the limitation of study for the purpose of going for your proposal defense. When you are going for proposal defense, you are not writing chapter 4 and 5. Yeah? So you better have your limitation of study when you're going for your. After that, you may want to choose to put it in chapter 5. That's okay. But when you're going for proposal defense, you need to defend yourself. These are the limitations, the constraints that I have while I'm conducting this study. And also, please do not give a laundry list of limitation of study. You know what's laundry list? 10 limitation of study. Oh, the first limitation of study is time. Second limitation of study is money. Third limitation of study is this. Fourth limitation, fifth limitation, sixth limitation, seventh limitation. That's the case, then well, don't do the research. Don't do the research. Why you want to force yourself to do the research with so many limitations? So basically, it's constraints which are not manageable by you. So the number one constraint is always the time factor. The second constraint will be your resource factor. That's it, and stop over there. Okay? And if at all your research has got to do something with government, then you say confidentiality of information. So you are unable to get those information. Or you find that in that particular industry there are one or two major players who monopolize the whole industry. Also, you will not be able to get information. So that becomes that. Yeah, trade secrets, patents, and so on, you know, they don't want to share with you, right? So then that becomes a limitation of the time. Okay? So that is limitation of time. So those are the shortcomings, cannot be controlled. Okay? So funding, time, and so on, these are all your limitations. Okay? So now let's look at an example how to write. Again, as I say today, the workshop here is not just talking to you, but also giving you examples of how to write. Yes.
Just before on the limitation of study, is the evolution of technology limitation. That means that it evolves so fast that the time to finish our thesis, it already will change because of new evolution that we didn't foresee.
You can use it, but see, in research, I'm starting my research in 2016. Tentatively, I'll finish my research in 2018. PhD work, right? As a researcher, as the technology keeps on evolving, as a researcher, you need to capture it. You should never stop writing your literature. That is chapter 2. You cannot stop chapter 2. Chapter 2, even tomorrow, I'm going to finish going for my Viva. If there is something new that has evolved, I have to capture it in chapter 2. That is. So, no such thing as, because the speed of, my particular field of study is evolving very fast, so hence I will not be able to address it, so that becomes my limitation. No way. Okay? So, you still have to write it out in chapter 2. And in chapter 5, when you're putting in chapter 5, you can put that. That is where it comes future research. Okay? Now,
sorry, not to take it so bad. On the area of operational information, though we are not a person of authority, we can still define on our own terms.
That is your work, purely your work. So, what's your understanding of that person? Now, I've given you in this page some sample. You don't need to go look for sample how to write limitation of study. You just follow this. It's okay. If I got 10 students, PhD, all the 10 students write this also no problem. As I say, it is a systematic process. There's no argument about it. Somebody cannot come and say, oh, this is plagiarism. No such thing. Okay? You just have to write this and make yourself place it. So, although this research was carefully prepared, as a PhD, you prepare the research very carefully. You go through all the process. The author is aware of its limitations and shortcomings. First of all, the research was conducted in 2 intermediate classes, which have lasted for 8 weeks. I'm sure in your research, your time will be definitely affected. Your data collection, definitely no one can say, I had ample of time to collect data. Can anyone claim that? If the guy says that something is really wrong. No such thing. Okay? So, here you can address it. So, I only had 8 weeks to do. 8 weeks is not enough. Okay? So, the researcher to observe all. 8 weeks is not enough. Even though it's a cross-sectional study, but 8 weeks is still not enough for me. So better if it was done in a longer. Don't go and say we should be done in 10 weeks. Don't be smart enough to say that. Put yourself in trouble. Then the examiner can ask you, if that's the case, why don't you give 10 weeks more? Just 2 more weeks to do it. Don't put yourself in trouble. Just say it's better if it's done in a longer. And don't say, oh, it will be better if we do a longitudinal study. You're committing suicide. Never do that. You already choose a methodology, and now what you're saying your methodology is not right. Okay? I've seen some people, they say, limitation, say, this is a cross-sectional study, it will be better if I have conducted a longitudinal study. Hey, come on, man. If that is the case, but the first place, you should have gone for that, right? Why you want to revert back last minute? And then, you see, the limitation, what is the time? The second one. Second, the population of the experimental group is small. 1/3. 5 students might not represent the majority. You're looking at the population, right? You're not going to collect data from the whole population. You're only looking at a sample, just a pie, right? One piece. So maybe it may not represent fully, right? It may not represent fully. But don't ever talk about your methodology as a limitation. If you talk about the methodology of the limitation, that shows you're not really fully well aware of the methodology that you're using. Don't ever challenge your methodology and say there's a weaknesses in this methodology. Now, just now I discussed to you about limitation. Now I'm talking about delimitation. What is limitation? Delimitation. Delimitation simply means what are the areas that is not within the scope of my study. What are the areas which are not within the scope of my study? That's called delimitation. This is important. Why do you go for a Viva when the examiner questions you by this you escape? If you have this, you escape. If they question you why you didn't do this, why you didn't do that, that is, I will need to put up in my text, page, please refer to page 27. I put this up as my delimitation. The examiner will never say anything. He cannot follow the question. Okay? So, delimitation, typically the researcher selects one methodology for the study, and because the other possible methodology has to be the delimitation. There are many methodologies, right? Many methodologies, right? Now, why did you choose this? Hypothesis testing. There are many ways to test hypothesis, right? P is one, right? Looking at other areas also you can test, right? P value, and then you have other areas are looking at P test. You can also look at it. So there are many. But why did you choose the P test? P value test. So you can put that the others are your delimitations. The parameters of the population must also include justification. The parameter of the population, especially those people who are doing social science, business studies students. Sorry, I'm not belittling any field of study. Dr. Shadi, yeah, I'm not belittling any field of study. Social science studies, especially when collecting data, is really tough. It's really tough. Yeah, it's really tough. And if you can get your response rate 23% and above, you are a good researcher. 23% and above, your response rate, consider good. That is research and very good study. So when student comes up and say, oh, my field of study, my response rate is 60%, and he's a business student, I know something went wrong. Seriously? Social science studies you can get 60%. Impossible. Unless you force people to take up the questionnaire. Hey, respond, faster, give me. I'm waiting for you. Okay? Otherwise, 23%. Roughly, that's the benchmark. Okay? So, it's really tough. It's really tough because to get the response back and it's voluntary, it's tough. It's not a bench work. It's not in a lab. It's not a bench work. It's tough. Okay? So, the population that you select and then the sample size that you select, okay? Technically, if you don't get it right, it will become a problem. So you put it as your delimitation, the population that you're looking at. Okay? Setting delimitation and subsequent justification help the researcher maintain objectivity in the study. So by putting the delimitation, you are being very objective in the study. You know this is what I'm going to study. This is not what I'm going to study. If you're talking about studying the online purchases and the sample size you choose university students, people can question you. They say, why you choose university students for online purchase? They don't have the buying power. They are not working. How can you test them? So you put them under delimitation and safeguard yourself, saying that no, my scope of study is this. Although I know the purchasing power is with people who are working adults, but that is not my area of interest. So that becomes your delimitation. You safeguard yourself. Okay. Now the last one is scope of study. Okay. Scope. I'm only inside here. Anything outside here? No. So these include listing specific aspect of the sample size. When you talk about manufacturing company, right? You fall back to FMM directory, right? Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers, right? The directory, you open the directory and see, you will see maybe 10,000 companies. Right? But your scope of study, you're talking about innovations in project management. Okay? Critical path analysis in project management. Maybe you're looking at that. But there are almost about 10,000 companies. You don't have time. So what do? You scope it to, put your scopes to E&E. Okay? Or you scope it to subcontract manufacturers. Yeah? So that's what you call as scope of study. If you don't have time to investigate that, and that's why I said in the morning, it is an empirical evidence which can be generalized. So you study in E&E, maybe 20% of it can be used in food and food manufacturing company and so on. Okay? So since it's impossible to collect all data on the subject and explore every facet of the subject, all research is narrowed in scope and subject to limitations. Okay? By acknowledging how research is restricted, it becomes more credible. So people cannot question you why the outcomes are like that. Okay? Especially when you run coefficient correlation, you run the statistical analysis, you find that you are almost coming to perfect. The people cannot think. So normally when you become perfect, the spotter graph, right? Spotter chart, right? The chart when you see that almost the line is very sharp, straight, then people can see how come you get almost perfect. So then you can fall back to scope and say, yeah, because my study is focusing on this industry as compared to other industry, this industry has really advanced in technology. So that's why we find the coefficient correlation is really almost coming to perfect. Okay?
Control variables, the policies and all those things, one of those are the control variables. If we take up organization,
you can do one organization, but then you must have the intervention program. Otherwise, for PhD, is not sufficient. You can do a study of one organization, but you must have an intervention program. Otherwise, it's not sufficient for PhD. Not enough. Okay? Otherwise, it becomes like a case study. Okay? And intervention programs are not easy. Yeah? It's not easy. You have to be before and after intervention programs. So it's not easy. Okay? And I don't know. I personally would not encourage students to go for that. Okay? It's tough. I still remember my supervisor. that time this case study, qualitative study was becoming very famous, and University Malaya had the first society for case study, qualitative study. They had a society. They created a society. That was early 1990s. So they were encouraging most of the PhD students to go for qualitative study. And my supervisor was a very senior veteran guy, and I talked to him and said, "Can I do a qualitative study?" He told me, "You really want to do a qualitative study?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Go and watch the movie." What movie? Gorilla. King Kong. King Kong. He said, "Go and watch the movie first." I said, "What? You watch the movie and you come back, I ask you some question. If you can answer my question, then I will encourage you." Seriously, when I went and watched the movie, I'm not a guy who like to watch movie. I hate it. So for me, wasting time, 2.5 hours, 3 hours. So I went and watched the movie. So I came back then, sat down with him. Rob, I watched the movie. Okay, good. Now you tell me, how did the woman communicate with the king? How did the woman communicate with the king? They were using sign language. Okay. If I use sign language with you, will you understand everything in my sign? My body language? No problem. But how did the king and the woman communicated? And when the lady is sad, and how did the king cry? Why did the king cry? Meaning to say the king got the message, right? That is case study. Actually, you don't understand what he's trying to say. He told me that he said, look, for a case study, it has to be thorough, detailed observation. Every single moment you need to look, watch, and then you need to go beyond what you see. It's an in-depth, and you have to be exhaustive in a case study. Then, if you're prepared, you do a case study. Then I said, Prof, can you please literally tell me? Because I want to do a case study on Intel. He said, if you want to do a case study in Intel, it is being biased because you're working in Intel. In other companies, yeah, okay. But then, are you willing to let go your job in Intel and go and work in a Japanese company for 3 months to do an observation or case study? If yes, then okay. Then it's a case study. Meaning to say, when you interview a manager, you just don't take whatever he or she say and then you record it. No. When the person is responding, you try to read the body language of the person. Understand what is behind at the back of your mind. You're saying, well, I think I like this. But how serious is the person when the person say I like this? That is case study. So I don't know. If you ask me personally, I'm still not ready to even supervise students on case study. Seriously, it's not that easy.
On the scope of studies, is this justifiable to, let's say you check a specific industry and let's say they have 10,000, you take a certain percentage there to work on. Is it justifiable to do that? And to say, I use this number because it's a certain percentage of the total population.
The percentage that you use cannot be your own percentage of calculation. It has to be coming from some authority. So there are a couple of authorities there, Sigmund, Omasekaran, Trejaski, Morgan, and so on. You have to get it from them. You cannot make your own choice of percentage. Or if you don't want, then you have to make through the mathematical model of calculating 10%. Statistical model. You cannot use your own. You cannot use your personal judgment saying, okay, I think it's 1,000, so why don't I take 10%? You know. You have to cite someone. Okay? You have to no choice. When some students take ECB or they read Omasekaran's book and say, oh, 60 is good enough. Huh? But for me, for PhD, 60 is not enough. Yeah. For social science studies, for PhD level, at least you go for 200. But again, depending on the topic, certain topics I cannot just say 200. Certain topics are very evolving topics, and certain topics are just merged topics and so on. So you may have difficulties. Okay, then we can fall back to Omasekaran and Sigmund. Okay, Sigmund formula is simple. Every variable is 10. You have one variable, 10 samples. So you have 6 variables, 60 samples. Okay, and dependent is double. That's sequence. Okay, and Krajewski Morgan is again another easier way. By looking at the table, 1970 Krajewski Morgan, you look at a table and you determine the population and sample size. Okay. Anyway, all these details you will learn in some of the sessions. Okay, the next session. Okay, so that is about the scope of study. Now, finally, significance of study. The easy way out of significance of study is importance of study. Importance of study. There are only two importance of study. Number one, important is for the body of knowledge. Whatever you do, your study is going to contribute to the body of knowledge. The second one is contribution to the practicing managers in the industry. So two. So for MBA student, or sorry, for master student, these two significant, good enough. For PhD student, no, not enough. You have to go a little bit detail on the significance. For a master student, if you can spell the two things, significant study, you're done, deep. For PhD, no, what? You go beyond that. You have to give something, you have to increase something to the industry. You have to give something back. So, this section answers several questions. Why is this work important? A. What are the implications of doing this? The positive implications. How does it link to the existing or other knowledge that is existing? Okay. Is it going to add on to the theory? If yes, then how? How does it stand in terms of policy making for the government? Policy making today, Professor just attended the policy making discussion on the 555 Act of Higher Education Inflation. I don't know how it's going to go. Yeah, sounds positive or wrong? Sounds that positive? Hopefully the crop is favorable for us. Huh? It's okay, yeah? It's okay for us. Okay, good. Why is it important to understand, what is important for our understanding of the world? Why? How does it contribute back? What new perspective for PhD level? Please, you need to have this. What new perspective are you talking about? You're talking about employee engagement. What is the new perspective in employee engagement? What is new in employee engagement are you talking about? Are you talking about employee engagement, trying to discover how can you engage the millennium people to engage in the organization? So what is the new perspective that is coming up? Or you're talking about level 5 leadership. You know, Jim Collins already talked about level 5. Maybe now you're talking about level 6 leadership. Maybe something new, right? So what use might your final research paper have for others? You do a study. Now how your study is going to benefit the other guys? Yeah. Continuity, right? Who might you decide to share your findings with? Industry guys? Managers? So these are all what you call as significance of study. But you need to answer all the questions here. Okay, what I'm saying is, I told you two just now, right? You expand. Okay, go beyond that. Okay? The research will provide information on issues, or vice versa. These are some examples of, as I said in the morning, for me, I believe in telling students with example, talking with example. So this is an example of how to write significance of study. So, example, the research will provide information on the issue of voice over internet protocol technology, particularly on integrity, vulnerability, and security of white box. Further, this one already one significance import giving information on the issue. Number two, further, this study would also be a review on this. This study is going to be a review. Okay. Further, as I said in the morning, research. Now I'm saying review. Review means he already seen it, right? Now another person looking at it. So review. The study would be beneficial to, again, you're highlighting another one, that is beneficial. So now I shared with you importance of the study. I said to the body of knowledge, to the practicing manager, and now it is going to be beneficial to who? Further enhancement or further what you call technology driven. So for PhD, you need to highlight this. You cannot just stop with you. Okay? So Done, I guess. I guess that's the last one, right? That's the last page. And this morning, just now, a friend, he had a question on proposition and hypothesis. What's the difference? Simple. Proposition. Before you come up with something, you establish something, right? The difference between proposition and hypothesis, both are concept. Both are concept. Proposition, hypothesis are concept. The difference is hypotheses are testable. You can take it and you want to test it. You take the concept and you want to test the concept for empirical evidence. Then it becomes a hypothesis. You don't want to test it. It's only a concept. Like motivation is a concept. Why do you want to test? Leadership is a concept. Why do you want to test? You only want to test the dimensions of leadership. You want to test the factors that influence motivation, right? So, but motivation itself is a, so why you want to test? So then it becomes a proposition. But when you take the proposition and you tie variables to it, associate some values to it, and you want to test it statistically, then it becomes hypothesis. Testable. So that is proposition and hypothesis. Concepts, propositions, and hypotheses, you start from concept, okay? Now, when you want to do an empirical evidence, you want to go and collect data and test it, okay? Then you come up with hypothesis. So the concept, you attach it to some variables, measurable units, and so on, depending on whatever scales you want to use. You want to use what you call interval, ratio, nominal, or ordinal, whatever scale, and then you want to test it out, interval, then it becomes a hypothesis. Okay? So hypotheses by definition are testable. Okay? You can do statistical analysis and test, and then you can confirm acceptable or not acceptable. Okay? That's it. All right. Okay, so we are almost done. Now let us just take a review of what we have taken you through from morning. So we start off with looking at the different types of research that we have. Okay, descriptive, explorative, causal, relationship type of research, and then we talked about the characteristics of research. Then we explored the problem statement, the various ways how to write the problem statement. We looked at case studies, and then from the problem statement, then we move on to writing the research objective, the main objective, research objective, and then we move on to writing the research questions. And then we looked into the delimitation, we looked into the limitation, significance of the studies, the scope of studies, and significance of studies. So that's what we have covered. And so far, what I've shared with you is all, again, everything in chapter 1. So in research, you have 5 chapters, huh? My dear friend. So you have 5 chapters. So what I've covered with you is chapter 1. So you have chapter 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay? Now, chapter 2, again, literature review. Even though it's literature review, there are certain techniques that you can use. You must know how to write it. Right? Like how people write stories, right? How they put always, finishing one sentence, there's another thing. You want to know what is the next sentence, right? What's the next story after this episode? What's the next episode, right? So you must know how to write the literature review. Otherwise, people read the literature review flat space. Okay? So that is the next session. So what we plan for our university here, we plan to take up the next session in a 4 days, 1 go. 4 days, 1 go. Okay, 4 days, 1 go. It's going to be tough for you. It's also going to be tough for me. Okay, 4 days, 1 go. And we plan there's one upcoming session in August next month. But they are what you call participants are already confirmed for that. I will let you know if it's going to be an open session because those participants are coming from one country specific, so they want to have a closed session. Well, let me just find out from them. If they're okay, then I'll let you know, and that will be in August 25th around there. 25th, that August 25th, okay. So I'll let you know if it's open session. Otherwise, we'll have another one more, Dr. Reza, 4 months from now, right? 4 months from now, we'll have another one more session. That will go for 4 days. And end of the day, once you finish that, then you will qualify. Your attendance are taken today, and with that 4 days, then you qualify for a 3 credit paper, 3 credit what we call research methodology class. Of course, you have to come up with an output that is a proposal. That's the output. Okay, that's for the assessment. Right. So, any further questions? Anything that you have in your mind? Any feedback? Anything? No. Oh, feedback. You please fill out the form. Please fill out the form and then pass it to Dr. Reza. Yeah, yeah. Please pass it back to Dr. Reza. Okay, otherwise, thank you very much for being with me the whole day. It's tired, very tiring, but you were together with me, and that kept me moving forward and me getting the. Yeah. Sure, please.
On behalf of everyone, I must say thank you to you because I must say this is one of the best workshops I have attended. I have given so many things. I'm sure that from today I can write my proposal and I can work on my topic, and I'm sure that I will defend my proposal well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kind guidance and kind knowledge. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, Dr. Hadi?
Yes, sir.
Back to you.
Yes.
He's the owner of the school, the dean of the school, so he's the owner of the school. Okay, and Dr. Reza is the postgraduate school head, and Dr. Harvey is the head of, the dean of the business school. Okay, so he's the owner of the school, and you will get communication from Dr. Harvey and Dr. Reza on the next session. Okay, I really look forward for you guys to come and join us for the next session. Please come in. Knowledge is for all. Should not be limited to you. Even though you're from UPM, it's open to all. Should not limit knowledge to just one or two particular decisions. Okay, Dr. Ravi. Yeah. Back to you, Dr. Ravi. Thank you, sir. Okay.
Okay, very good evening, everybody. Thanks for being with us during this day. We really enjoyed. And like the friend is every time is very impressive in this kind of talk, and we really enjoyed it. Thanks for being with us, and we are waiting for you for our upcoming colloquium, which is on Monday. And I need also your all and full support for that event. Thanks. Have a great day.
So I'll see you. Thank you very much.
juga itu positif. Besok saya lepas different. Oh, dia tinggal. Dari sama something. So this one you can possibly also those not there. You can find this one. Dia mau pengarah, dia buat apa tahu? Dia ambil nama pengarah dia pakai nama company. Betul. Nama pengarah, nama pemberi. But at the same time, one more, you don't put it in company. You just send direct because this is 3-4 directors. Dia maybe juga. Oh ya. Surat ini small surat. You have the content. You bagi berapa? So again, we can continue. Semua ada bagi dah. Every free lah. Dia tapi pun tak boleh trip. Dan dia gambar satu scenario. Apa dia jadi? Lepas tu, why on the website? You said that part of the process bagi 1 month kan? Okay, katakan try investors. Why the vision to account? Why try? Is that said it's like okay. The part then after they can write the journal, GLR, write the GL. Then later baru from the closing dia lah. Oh, you dah tahu tadi. Dengar.